All right. Well, welcome to Fight Back. We haven't done a show here on Spreaker in a while, basically because of finances, but we were able to get back, and we're going to do a short show today. All our shows will be 45 minutes or less, so for a couple of reasons, because that's the rate plan we're on, primarily, and secondarily, it's a lot easier to listen to the whole thing. It's going to be a lot easier to share it with your friends. And get them to listen to the whole thing too. So, with the average YouTube video having massive drop off in viewership after about 2.5 minutes, and it's only longer than that if you have a girl fight, because someone's hoping against all hope that some clothing comes off. So we live in that kind of world. So expecting you to hang out for an hour or longer than that is ridiculous, and that's my fault, and I'm not going to have you do that anymore. I'm not going to obligate you to an hour of your time. Most of these programs from moving forward from now on will be about a half an hour or so. The more important ones will be 45 minutes. But my name is Willie Lawson. I'm the founder of Fight Back Media Group, and welcome back. We've been away for a while. It was disappointing to find out yesterday that this particular program was denied entrance into iHeartRadio because we hadn't done a show in we hadn't done a show in 2 weeks. Well, finances just came through this morning, so that's how it is when you depend on. Well, we're depending on other people for financing, but we're in the process of changing that, and we'll talk about that a little later. What I want to get to is the title of the program is Fight Back versus Don Lemon. No, Don Lemon is not here in studio. He is not here on the phone. He is not here on Skype. No, I did not get to talk to Don Lemon. I want to put all that up front. You know what? I don't want any craziness from CNN. But what I was able to do is I was able to get a videotape. We're going to use the audio from a videotape that he made on his show. That we're going to go through, and just like we did with Steve Harvey, go through and go counterpoint, go point to point counterpoint of some of the things that Don Lemon has said in this video, and how unfortunately he's the problem. He and people like him are actually the urban community's worst problem. When they are pretending to be the urban community's champion, they're actually the enemy of urban America, urban community, and urban people. So we're going to get this started. I didn't put this video up. Somebody named Philco versus the World on YouTube put this video up of a bit of Don Lemon's program. So we're going to play a little bit of it. We're going to start. Let's see. I've had trouble dealing with it. Can you imagine? With his statements right before he starts his 5 points of what black people shouldn't do, and part of these problems, and I think this is where he prefaces this whole thing. I'm going to get back to about there and see if we can. We'll just start right. We'll just go ahead and start right there. Click this button. Click that button.
Comes out of their mouths. It's time now again for no talking points. The Trayvon Martin murder case got just about everybody talking about race, and not just specifically how it related to the case. It got some, many on the political right, wondering why the so-called liberal media wasn't talking about other problems in the black community.
Let's talk about.
Okay, now we're going to go ahead and finish this, but you see, this is a typical tactic of the left, how they set up a situation, and they set up a conversation, but they're not honest about the conversation. They're just not honest about the conversation. He started off talking about Trayvon Martin, and he said that how this brought up a discussion of race, not just, listen carefully, not just about the case, but things surrounding the case. We're going to go ahead and play the rest of it.
About race. Let's talk about black-on-black violence.
The outrage that I have is in the lack of really the national attention to what is an epidemic of crime in the black community committed largely by blacks.
Why aren't we talking about it? Good question. Actually, that's not a good question. We've talked about it many times on this show and on CNN. It's actually a good deflection, as I've said a number of times to a number of...
Didn't he just set up the Trayvon Martin discussion about the larger conversation? Well, doesn't the larger conversation include black-on-black crime? Isn't that the larger discussion? Didn't he just set it up like that? That's what I thought I heard. We're going to go on.
Guests here on CNN and also on the radio.
David, do not do that false equivalent. That is
no, I'm not trying to
a fair
equivocate, but outrage.
Yeah, but listen, crime
that.
happens all the time, and because a crime happens, it does not mean that you should shift the focus from what happened here. Let's stick to this particular point.
Okay,
so
on this issue then.
Thank you.
So that's the reason I didn't want to discuss at length crime in the African American community or how to fix other ills that seem to be plaguing the community in general. But now that the jury has reached its verdict, one that everyone must accept, it's time now for some tough love on the subject.
Okay, so I can address this whatever the hell I want. So he had by his own admission said that he had shut down a lot of the discussion about these topics because he wanted to, quote, concentrate on this particular case. And now that case was over, now we could talk about the larger things. Well, I'm going to set this up. I'm going to use the same technique. I'm not proud of it, but it works. If we were talking about these things that other people who are on the right were talking about before, maybe, just maybe, we wouldn't have a dead Trayvon Martin. We wouldn't have a dead Mike Brown. We wouldn't have a dead Mr. Garner. We wouldn't have some of these other people that have been killed. Maybe that wouldn't be the case if we were going to talk about the things that we should talk about, regardless of when and regardless of who. And that's the problem with the left. That's where they overstep. If they're not talking about these things, then they're not valid. If David Webb, a black conservative, is talking about these things, then he's Uncle Tom and Uncle Ruckus, and he's deflecting. But when Don Lemon, the great and powerful Don Lemon, on the backs of the Communist News Network, decides to address these things, then we should all stop and suck in every pearl of wisdom that falls from his stinking pie hole. We'll go ahead and play some more.
Someone on another network got the chance to go first because I couldn't go during the week. I'm only here on the weekend, so listen to this.
The reason there is so much violence and chaos in the black precincts is the disintegration of the African American family.
He's got a point. In fact, he's got more than a point. Bill?
Raised without much structure, young black men often reject education and gravitate towards the street culture, drugs, hustling, gangs. Nobody forces them to do that. Again, it is a personal decision.
He is right about that too. But in my estimation, he doesn't go far enough. Because black people, if you really want to fix the problem, here's just 5 things that you should think about doing. Here's number 5. And if this doesn't apply to you, if you're not doing this, then it doesn't apply to you. I'm not talking about you. Here's number 5. Pull up your pants. Some people, a lot of them black, gave me flack for saying that recently on the Wendy Williams show.
If you're sagging, it means I think your self-esteem is sagging, and who you are as a person, it's sagging. Young people need to be taught respect, and there are rules.
Okay, so if your pants are sagging, then your self-esteem is sagging. So and so when we here on the political right, people like myself, people like Ken McClinton and C.L. Bryant and K. Carl Smith and Alfonso Rachel, Shirley Huzar, Sonny Johnson mentions pull up your pants, pull up your damn pants. Let me tell you a story. One of the coolest thing about being older is that you have stories. My last teaching assignment was at a local high school, Blake High School. Blake High School is a performing arts magnet. Isn't that special? That's smack dab in the urban community here in the Tampa area where I live. And the very first day I was there, the black principal, somebody I actually went to high school with and was in band with, played a song on the intercom the first day, between classes, all day long. The "Pull Your Pants Up" song, the very first song, "Pull Your Pants Up," and because she's a black woman, she got away with it. I can't even imagine if this had happened in a more suburban school that had just a few black and Hispanic kids. Pull your pants up song. Now, that's where the left oversteps and misses it and causes destruction and damage in urban America. The fact of the matter is that it shouldn't matter a tinker's damn who says it if it happens to be true. Now, I'm going to go ahead and play the little clip where he was on Wendy Williams, and the sad part is that he did catch flack from black people. He did catch flack from black people. But, welcome to my world, Don Lemon. Welcome to my world.
Sagging pants, whether it's Justin Bieber or no-name Derek around the way, walking around with your ass and your underwear showing is not okay. In fact, it comes from prison when they take away belts from the prisoner so that they can't make a weapon. And then it evolved into which role a prisoner would have during male-on-male prison sex. The one with the really low pants is a submissive one. You get my point? Number 4 now is the N-word.
For our generation, what we did was we took the word and we took the power out of that word.
We took this word and we made it into poetry.
I understand poetic license, but consider this. I hosted a special on the N-word, suggesting that black people stop using it, and that entertainers stop deluding yourselves or themselves and others that you're somehow taking the word back.
One more thing that this Don Lemon character thinks now, after the Trayvon Martin case, has the moral high ground on CNN. Now, when David Webb was saying this, when other leaders who were black, who were saying this before, were saying this, it wasn't good enough. It was Uncle Tom, Uncle Ruckus talk. It was saying what the white man wants you to say, all that kind of crap. But now that is coming from the pie hole of Don Lemon, weekend anchor, by his own admission, he only works on the weekend. I'm sorry that Bill from Fox News got to these points before I did, because he's got a full-time gig. CNN only allows me to say this on the weekend. There you go. So, and the word, of course, the N word, of course, is nigger. So, when the rap stars who make a bunch of money, and the comedians who also make a bunch of money saying nigga this, nigga that, nigga the other, get called out by Republicans, by conservative blacks, they don't like it. Well, why they don't like it? For the very same reason why mainstream media and the mainstream culture always pushes back, because what we end up doing is we end up endangering their power, their position, and their prosperity, so they don't like that at all. But now this comes from the lips of Don Lemon. Everything is just fine. This is why these people on CNN and the like are dangerous.
By promoting the use of that word when it's not germane to the conversation, have you ever considered that you may just be perpetuating the stereotype the masser intended, acting like a nigger? A lot of African Americans took offense to that too, and I wondered if I gave the right advice. I really did. But confirmation came the very next day on my way home when I exited the subway on 125th Street in Harlem. This little kid in a school uniform, no older than 7 years old, he was crying his eyes out as he walked down the sidewalk with his mother. I'm going to be honest here. She turned to him and she said, "I'm sick of you. You act like an old-ass man. Stop all that crying, nigger." Is that taking the word back? Think about that. Now, number 3, respect where you live. Start small by not dropping trash, littering in your own communities. I've lived in several predominantly white neighborhoods in my life. I rarely, if ever, witness people littering. I live in Harlem now. It's an historically black neighborhood. Every single day I see adults and children dropping their trash on the ground when a garbage can is just feet away. Just being honest here. Number 2, finish school. You want to break the cycle of...
Okay. I didn't have a counterpoint. Don't trash your own communities. And don't let anybody else do it either. What? Something that we haven't said on the right forever? Here's a perfect example. Again, I was involved in 2 of the 3 major Tea Party rallies that happened here in my town. And even the Democrat mayor said to me, "We don't mind when they have Tea Party rallies because it helps our parks department, because they always leave." He said to me, "They always leave the park cleaner when they leave than when they got there." And other mayors and leaders around the country started figuring that out. They were like, "How in the heck do you have 5,000, 7,000, 10,000 people in this pretty cramped area and leave it looking better than when they got there? Leave it less trashed out, more picked up, actually." Well, because, you know what, they're all old white people, right? And well, Don Lemon said that, you know what, he didn't see that kind of behavior in the predominantly white areas he lived in. So that must be a cultural thing, right? That must be a cultural norm that black people trash out their own communities. Why is that, Don? Why is that? Because people like you and people on your network are continuing to give people license and a break every time somebody brings up something negative. Every time Donald Trump says you live in the worst places in America, that you have the crappiest schools, you don't have jobs, and all these things, and CNN especially went ape crap, and just everybody's head exploded, and I thought that Rachel Maddow on MSNBC was going to have an aneurysm and a coronary right there on the TV when Trump mentions those words. And what you're saying is, Don Lemon, that it's true. That's what you're saying. What Trump said was true. Now, finish school. Now, I generally don't have a problem with finishing school, but we're going to talk about a new fangled fight back way of education in the urban corridor.
Poverty? Stop telling kids are acting white because they go to school or they speak proper English. A high school dropout makes on average $19,000 a year. A high school graduate makes $28,000 a year. A college graduate makes $51,000 a year. Over the course of a career, a college grad will make nearly $1 million more than a high school graduate. That's a lot of money. And number 1, and probably the most important, just because you can have a baby, it doesn't mean you should, especially without planning for one.
All right. Now, normally you want people to finish school. You want them to at least finish high school. You're right, but that, you know what, that isn't the end all, obviously, because of the world we live in. However, I believe that there are many tracks. I think that this whole idea that everybody should go to college is a frustrating one because it's not true. It's a narrative that's not true. Not everybody should have their ass sitting up in some college class. College should be for the best and brightest. College is not for everybody. There is a bell curve for a reason. There is a bell curve. And the bell curve exists because there are people sitting on the bottom left-hand side of that curve. There are people sitting on the bottom left-hand side of that curve. So college is not for everybody. And there are benefits to college, obviously, but it's not for everybody. So what we have to do is start looking at things a little differently. And the left has got their machine ready to go, and what it needs is money. And you know what? You know how it earns money is trying to make sure that every single solitary person who happens to scrape by with a diploma from a public high school gets a chance at sitting in a college classroom with a basic opportunity educational grant, BEOG, as they called them when I was in school, or a Pell Grant that they switched the name to shortly afterwards. That makes sure everybody fills out a FAFSA. And if you've got kids going to college, you know what a FAFSA is. It's one of those federal forms that sees what you're eligible for. Because colleges and universities don't have to think about cutting down the price of an education if they know they're going to have a ready supply of money. So the idea is to funnel every single kid that manages to scrape by with a diploma to a college or university. Well, that and he is right about the earning benefits, but that's not the only way. And I don't think that our kids should be taught that that's the only way. And I don't think drug dealing and being a rap star or even an NBA basketball player is enough of an alternative from what he's talking about. I think the real alternative that's not being talked about, especially in the education system, the liberal left union-run education system, is entrepreneurship. Using technology, and what I use as a ready example in my brain is it doesn't take a college degree to write a really important, hip, useful app for an iPhone. It doesn't. Now you have to take that app, those lines of codes, and turn it into a business, and that's where local business people and that's where community leaders come into play in these areas. It's the ability to create a business. Even when you graduate from college, it's the idea of being able to create in the urban community that will make the difference. Not that you would be just a cog in the wheel, that you would be a cog in the wheel, yes, who's going to make $1 million more than the cog in the wheel who didn't graduate from college, who just graduated from high school. Yes, that's all true, but that's not everything. That's not all of it. All right, we're going to get to his last point, and then I'm going to get to my last point.
More than 72% of children in the African American community are born out of wedlock. That means absent fathers. And the studies show that lack of a male role model is an express train right to prison. And the cycle continues. So please, black folks, as I said, if this doesn't apply to you, I'm not talking to you. Pay attention to and think about what has been presented in recent history as acceptable behavior. Pay close attention to the hip-hop and rap culture that many of you embrace, a culture that glorifies everything I just mentioned, thug and reprehensible behavior, a culture that is making a lot of people rich, just not you, and it's not going to. That said, though, the political right is not off the hook.
So, I'm not off the hook. No, I'm not off the hook because I have to be responsible and accountable for the things I say. Now, what I won't allow Don Lemon, people like Don Lemon, to do is to take the truth I've been telling, and because it's coming from my mouth, and paint me as a bad guy, which is what they've been doing, which is why this whole idea of bipartisanship and working together doesn't work, because if I bring the idea, then it's not good. But if you bring the idea, it's good. you know what, and that's the way we've been working. But I'll tell you what, with the advent of Fight Back Media, that is not going to happen anymore. The fact of the matter is that we exist for one reason and one reason only: to crush and destroy the dangerous and destructive narrative of the left. Which Don Lemon is happily, even if only on the weekends, is happy to be a part of. So guess what? You're not off the hook either. You're not off the hook. Neither are the rap stars. Neither are the comedians. Neither are people like Tyler Perry. No, and neither are you, Don Lemon. You're not off the hook. If you can't when you're not in the heat of the political battle and marching and carrying out your marching orders from your producers and directors and the leaders at CNN, that you're going to spew as much venom on the right, whether they're actually telling the truth or not. If you're still going to participate in that, I'm afraid that you are still on the hook. My name is Willie Lawson. This is Fight Back from fightbackmedia.com. Thank you so much. And the fightbackmedia.com site has been pushed back to the free status. So that's not the URL, and I'm going to get that URL for you, because I want you to be able to go to the website, and I want you to be able to donate to what we're doing. We've got a couple of really important projects that we have got to take care of, while taking care of some old business, all at the same time. So it's going to be. When I say I need your help, I need your help. The website is www.wixsite, WIX all one word, .com/fightback. I'll say it again. WLS860.wixsite, .com/fightback. One more time, and I'll let it alone. And as soon as we're able to upgrade again, it'll have something that isn't weird and bizarre like this right here. All right, listen. It's www.wlS860.com/fightback. All right, thank you ever so much. Listen, we appreciate you being here, and just like always, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, y'all take care of yourself. We will see you when we see you.
Chief, mate, what do you want to do tonight?
The same thing we do every night, Pinky. Try to take over the world.
The Pinky and the Brain. Yes, Pinky and the Brain. One is a genius, the other's insane. They're laboratory mice. Their genes have been spliced. They're Pinky and the Brain. Brain, 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 brain. Before each night is done, their plan will be unfurled by the dawning of the sun. They'll take over the world. They're Pinky and the Brain. Yes, Pinky and the Brain. Their twilight campaign is easy to explain. To prove their mousy worth, they'll overthrow the earth. They're Pinky and the Brain. Brain, 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 brain. Nerve!
Blog Talk Radio.